All right, so 10 minutes before the open. So now that I have completely put out the course, well, put out all the videos for the course, I decided what I'm gonna do today is just do a live recording of me trading the strategy. Now what I normally do, the way that I trade this now is kind of an advanced version of it. This is, that's best fitting for me and using my edge. But, that's going to be a good test for, how easy it is, somewhat easy it is to test the strategy, being that this is kind of my first time using it this way in a while. All right, so let me go ahead and finish up my pre-market setup. And what I like to do is I like to mark off the session highs and the session low before the open using this rectangle tool up here. So basically I'm using that, and I'm using the volume profile to mark off an area of significance relative to the session high and the session low. So now for this live video, what I'm not gonna do is I'm not gonna just walk through each and every step like I did in the walkthrough. I'm just gonna trade it. And if I see something significant, then I'll go ahead and narrate that. But I'm not gonna explain every single thing that I'm doing. You can see that in the other sections of the course. All right, and also let me go and take a screenshot of that. Put that in my Notion journal. Another reason why I decided to go ahead and do this today is I'm kind of waiting for some funds to be deposited into one of my other accounts, in my AMP futures account, which is kind of interesting because it's day 4 that I've been waiting on that. And what's interesting about it is when I did a withdrawal, it only took a couple of days for me to receive those funds, but trying to deposit into the account, it's been taking several days just to get that process completed. So it's a good opportunity to go ahead and take this situation as an advantage and do this live recording of me trading the strategy. It's going to be completely unedited, so you ain't got to worry about me, any of that kind of stuff. And right now I'm just going through my pre-market checklist. As you can see right there, just making sure I got everything checked off like I'm supposed to, and something happened to all of my windows. Let's see. That was weird. All right. Don't know why I did that. Do a time check. We got about 5 minutes before the open. And I'm not gonna, so the way I'm gonna do this, I will explain this part, is I'm going to wait for the first 3-minute candle to close, and then I'm going to begin executing by the rules of the strategy. So another way I'm going to do it now, what's another interesting thing about this is historically Fridays are my worst performing days. So, and with this low volume, and we don't have a lot of volatility this morning, so it could be we could be staying true to that. So you can imagine if this is one of the worst performing days, and you see how it, the results of me executing the strategy on one of the worst performing days, you can use your imagination to see, to think of what's possible on a better trading day, right? Or one of my better performance days. So, normally, not to say anything about any other content creators, but usually how you see that is they show you the best performance, and then maybe they'll slide in some other not so good performing things when they're trying to sell something. But I have nothing to sell here, so, and even if I did, that's just the way that I operate. But anyway, that's beside the point. All right, so we got, so Still waiting for the open, about 4 minutes now. Let me make sure I got these other windows closed since I'm not trading my normal system, which I trade in multiple accounts, and I use my version of a copy trader, which I probably end up putting a video out eventually. Gonna be real, it's probably not gonna happen this month, but maybe in August, about how I set up my copy trader. Alright, let me run through my pre-market checklist and all of my notes. Paste my snapshot in there, and we're just gonna wait for the open. Got another screenshot that I need to get of my power range report. I'm doing this all on another screen, so you won't be able to see any of this, and it's not necessary. And I'll probably put a timestamp. I put timestamps down in the description. We'll see how well that works out. I don't want to, I want to get this video out as soon as possible after I record it. But if you don't have to, I can tell you right now, there's not a lot that's going to happen before the open between now. So you can go ahead and skip to the open after the first 3 minutes if you're not interested in this whole build up here. Okay, so I'm going to be, placing all my trades on the chart. I also have my chart window on another monitor right there. So I'm using 3 micro. Make sure I'm using M and Q. Yep, M and Q. Got a 1 minute chart here. And this is a modified version of the layout that I normally use. Got my daily. You can see that gap that we had last weekend. Not the previous weekend, but basically 2 weekends ago. That was filled this morning. So we finally filled that gap. Had this little range back here last weekend and the first most of this week, or last week and most of this week. So now we're trying to, we're attempting to pull outside of that range. We got some technical resistance up here. However you want to, identify that. There's some indicators that I have here that, may or may not be relevant. This depends on how they want to move price around. And then I'm looking at my ATR. This is another thing. This is a relatively small, this is a 30-minute ATR. So I'm not expecting a whole lot of movement today, but we could be surprised. We do have something at 10. Look at the calendar. All right, we have new home sales at 10. We're not expecting a whole lot from that. And usually on Fridays, I don't trade the full session. So, my normal session is an hour from 9:30 to 10:30. Most of the times I'm done within that first 30 minutes. But we shall see how that worketh. If I'm satisfied, whenever I'm satisfied with my results, then that's when I'll stop. I actually don't really, I have a hard rule of $1,600, but being the way that I'm trading today, I'm not expecting to hit that, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, there's our open. So I'm going to let at least this first 1 minute candle close. A lot of times I wait for the 3 minute. This probably will be, I'm going to wait for the first 3 minutes. Because of how we traded up into the session high. Got a little bit of momentum going into our high. can expect some resistance when we're, when we start trading towards the session high. Typically, a point of interest for shorts are, taking profit on positions, long positions. And we're trading inside the bull zone, so we'll be looking for longs right now. Another thing that I'm gonna do that I don't think I mentioned, I don't think I expressed it this way in the other, the video explaining the strategy in the course, is I'm going to use the opposing trigger as a stop. We'll see what that means if I catch a position. This could be a situation to where I don't actually get a position, but we'll see. Looking for pullback, we got it. Just gotta be patient. So the way that this is trading, more than likely, I won't place a trade within these first 3 minutes. Now I could have called an audible here since we did get a pullback. I want to look for a red candle, but we got a pause of price here, so I could have used this as a trigger, but I didn't want to do that today. That's sort of an advanced way of looking at it, and I want to keep it simple today. But as we can see in hindsight capital says that would have been a good trade. Now the thing about that is it would have been tough to catch, without using like my normal triggers. I have triggers that I use normally, or if I would have had to be ready to use my chart window, my trade window, to get into that position. So now I'm hands off the trigger. I'm just waiting for a pullback. And I'm using the 1 minute completely. And this works on all time frames. I've looked at it on all time frames. It just, for me, deciding a time frame, it just depends on how long you plan to be into it. It depends on how long you plan on being in a trade. So since I'm doing this part-time, only an hour a day, I'm just using the 1 minute because I don't want to be stuck in a trade for hours or, for a long period of time. I want to be in and out. Somewhat of a pause there. We don't have a technical trigger. And what I'm going to do here also, so I'm going to mark this off as I like to highlight my triggers. And I put these inside of, the Discord in the Hindsight Capital channel. If you're not a, member of the Discord yet, that's just it's gonna go ahead and you're now aware of that. So I mark my triggers off, and then I take a screenshot, and I put the screenshot inside of the Discord in the Hindsight Capital channel. So I marked that trigger off as a yellow. It's something I could have taken, but it wasn't the typical thing that I would, usually look for. Alright, so it looks like we got a little bit of momentum this morning. So that's one little thing about low volume, low volatility days. Sometimes we can end up trading inside of a tight range. A lot of times, especially on a Friday, that's what we get. But also we can have it to where that low volatility, low volume takes us into a trend. It's not a high momentum trend usually, Usually it's a low momentum trend, but as of right now, it looks like that's what we're setting up for. But this market can do anything, so we have to be ready for and expect anything to happen. Usually, you know, the way that I trade, when I'm looking to take a position, I'm looking at, you know, I have my plan for if it works out, and then I have a plan for if it doesn't work out. What am I going to do if it doesn't work out? What am I going to look for if it doesn't work out, and how am I going to execute on that? So that's my approach. That is an interesting print, referring to the color. Because the way that looks, it looks like the open was, you know, around 905-ish, but that close is a red candle. Oh, I know why. So what happened there is that's actually a green candle, but it highlighted red because of delta. And the way that I have my delta set up, well, the study desk uses the delta to color these bars. So right there we see we had more than over 100 negative delta, so to speak, in that bullish, with that green candle. So when you see my candles highlighted like that, that's what it's referencing. It's referencing the delta, the 100 mark. Actually 101 on the delta. All right, so that gives us some pullback. Let's let this close. So technically my trigger would be above the high of this right here if it closes like this. If it closes red. And I would have to take it. Oh, gotta be patient and wait for it to close. All right, so we're in that. Got a little bit of volatility. Move that where it needs to go. So let me go ahead and set this up. To be honest with you, not really expecting this to work out that well. But I could be wrong. I could definitely be wrong. And I'm looking for the opposing. Now how I'm moving this, I explained all of that in the course, so you can go back and reference those videos to get an idea of what I'm doing there. So right now what I'm doing is I'm looking for an opposing trigger for my trailing stop loss. And if we get that, we'll see what that means. Or we'll have a hard stop loss down here where we'll take a full loss. And there we go. So that's what I mean. So this would be typically a short trigger. So I'm using that as my trailing stop loss, just to, you know, a little bit of risk management. So that played out like I expected it to, but we need to be disciplined, and I had to take it. And by now you should start to see, get an idea to why this is generally the worst performing day. Because usually on Fridays, we do experience a lot of volatility, so I'm just showing this strategy in its simplest form. You should be, I don't know if I put this out in the course, but you should be making adjustments based off of who you are and your trading edge, your edge. Let me say that again. I don't think I said that clearly. This is just a simple method of using this strategy. Once you get comfortable with this and you are doing what you need to do as a trader, you should be adjusting this strategy and your rules based off of your edge. Because the way that I normally trade, I have an adjustment for that, and I would actually still be in this trade. But discipline is key, whether it works in your favor or not. Discipline and consistency, that's what's going to get you there. Not being smarter than the market, not getting everything right, not having the perfect strategy. It's discipline and consistency. That's the secret, for those who didn't know already. Not forgetting a solid risk management plan, because we want to be able to trade tomorrow no matter what happens. Also, this morning I'm using the 3-strike rule, so if I have 3 losses, then I got to be done for the day. All right, so now I'm just, while I'm ideal vomiting, now what I'm doing, I'm just looking for some pullback again to get my next trigger. And I'm actually trading this in one of my Leeloo trading accounts. Well, one of the evaluation accounts, a new evaluation account I just set that I just signed up for. Just FYI. Which I'm actually, made a decent little bit. I started it this week, I believe, this account. I got several accounts that I'm working on. It's hard to keep track of them sometimes. I think I started this one this week, made some decent progress this week. So I'm definitely hoping that I can end positive today. We didn't get off to a good start, but all I can do is take what the market gives. And like I keep saying, stay disciplined and consistent. I was actually thinking about going live on this one. So eventually I will do. I'll go ahead and put this out now. Eventually I'm going to get back to doing live streams, but we'll see. So here's what we can do. If you want to see me trade this on a live stream, just go ahead and leave that in the comment section below. Just, you know, in the comment section, type live stream, and then I will do the same thing in a live stream on another day. Probably, you know, we'll see. See what kind of, you know, what kind of response I get. But yeah, I was gonna do this I was thinking about doing this as a live stream, but I didn't prepare. So the next best thing is just to do a live recording. And we're just waiting. So as we can see, this strategy is really simple. It's not really that difficult to use. Now I am also leaning on my experience. So this is actually not using a lot of effort to execute on this strategy right now. Just to be, you know, just full transparency. But still I am learning some things. Alright, so we got some pull back there, but I'm hoping I don't get that trigger up there. So we got a lower low there. I don't want to how am I trying to say this? I don't want only a lower low. I want a lower high and a lower low as my trigger. That's the desired trigger that I look for. And this is shaping up to be a similar situation as what we got back here. 22 seconds left in this print, and something just froze for no reason. Okay, there we go. Gotta love PC. I'm not even running nearly, you know, half the stuff that I typically run on a typical trading session. All right, so let me. All right. Oh, that just went ahead and put me. Okay. See, I pushed it wrong. All right, that's all good. So I made a mistake. Let me go ahead and kill that. I was supposed to do a buy stop up there. There we go. So if I make a mistake, I like to just kill the trade immediately. This is an inside pair, but I don't want it to trigger like that. So let me go ahead and cancel that. Even though we got some consolidation here, but you know, that's not my typical trigger. It's actually a really good setup. You see, we got the volume profile there, and we got our candle sitting right on top of the volume profile. Not necessarily, so we're kind of trading against one of our PR levels, but that's okay. And then we got structure in here. It wasn't a bad setup. I just didn't get the trigger that I typically look for. So what we can do here is we can also highlight this yellow. What messed all of that up, honestly, is the mistake that I made. And of course, hindsight capital says I should have held that position. sometimes it be like that. So now I'm not even gonna. Just gonna hold that thought. Good thing is I didn't lose on that mistake. Waiting for pullback. So this is, so far it's been playing out as one of those slow grind trending days. I think that was the second thing, the second scenario that I mentioned around the open. So we got like some micro pullback here that just, happened briefly and quickly. Normally I don't like those as triggers, but that could be a trigger. Normally I don't even mark those off as triggers. I want some real pullback, but that can keep us going higher. Or that can catapult us into higher prices. But we are starting to see some price slowing down a little bit up here. What's usually referred to as resistance. Decent positive delta, and within this 1 minute time period. Nothing to get overly excited about. We got this range, making an attempt to break low or below that range. Got some buyers jumping in here, but there's a slight battle going on with it. there's a lot of execution of orders here. So you can tell with all this, we got all this negative delta, but price isn't really moving anywhere. All right, let me call it short delta. I'm saying positive and negative. Negative is a term that's usually looked at as a bad thing. Gotta, put my trigger up there. I want a little bit of space. Yeah. So I have to execute on that right there. And okay, so this last one is in deep space. So let me put this here. And depending on if I get a fill here, I will more than likely have to make adjustments to my targets anyway. Alright, that triggered us inside of the in the trade. Let me go ahead and adjust my stop. I don't move that first one. So we're gonna trade the moon on this one. If we get it. Looks like it wants to stop me out at this point, but we'll see. There we go. So as we can see, it's not looking too good for me today. Like I said, this is generally my worst performing day. Put the emphasis on the my, because like I said before, you should be taking a strategy, developing your skills, and then using your edge. Once you discover your edge, use your edge to make it better. That's the whole purpose of me putting this out like this. Because one of the things that I struggled with in the beginning is understanding how to put a strategy together. And that kind of, I wasn't able to really focus on what was going to make me profitable. Of course, I figured it out in hindsight. So, I put the strategy out so that kind of to solve the problem that I had in the beginning. All right, let me see. I have to execute on this. It's like we want to continue to break down, which is good. The more it breaks down, the better. As long as you don't get those predatory moves. Interesting print. This is okay, I'll take it. A little bit of slippage there too. Caused some quick momentum. A whole heap of momentum right there. And I got stopped out on the okay, so we got a lot of volatility that just came in right there. And so I was wrong about the 10 o'clock new home sales. That did bring a lot of volatility into the market, a lot of energy into the market. So what happened there is I got triggered in on that, and because I got the what is it called? I don't even use it anymore, so I don't forget the break even, because I got the break even there. Then I got stopped out on the break even, and I actually tried to remove that, expecting the volatility, but it just happened too quickly. Wasn't able to respond in time. Caught a whole heap of slippage on that, so I didn't even get much. Just one of those days. Let's see. All right, so let's do a recap of where we are right now. I've taken 2 losses. Just kind of want to make sure that I'm staying aware. Awareness is key. I made a mistake, which we can, you know, if I do too many of those, if I make 2 mistakes, then I gotta be done also. And so with that mistake, I made a little bit of money. It pretty much resulted in a scalp, and then that right there resulted in a volatility scalp. That last trade. That right there is not a specific statement. And now we wait for the next opportunity. Now we have entered into deep space. At this point, we can decide if we want to trade inside of deep space, depending on what we get. I have, let's see, normally I like to stop around 10-15, but for my full session, I have about a little under 30 minutes left. Let me mark this off. Mark that off. That is, you can kind of look at that as an inside pair with the body, but I don't like to get too caught up on names. We can name that, but it doesn't matter. What this is a reversal, a typical reversal candle. Labels for me personally are less relevant than the actual sentiment. All right, so there's our pullback. Let's see if we get the predator or do we get, I am seeing some, still got a few seconds left in this. Got some energy building right above 220 or 1220. I'm seeing new participation up here. Well, right where our trigger is, we did get an influx of participation before trading lower. But I have to stay disciplined. It's either going to work or it's not going to work. This is why we have risk management. And I'm going to stick to my plan. We're going to stick to my rules. All of that good stuff. That triggered me in. And I I'm not even gonna make any, I make one adjustment. I'm just gonna put this last order right there. And this one, 2 adjustments. And I'm just gonna let this, since this is a normal volatility, I won't change my break even. I typically don't like to make too many audible calls or too many last minute decisions, because that's usually an emotional response. And we don't want to be, get caught up in making emotional responses. All right, so we're at break even. Let's see if we can catch some momentum to take us to our next target. First target has been hit. Seeing some slowdown in price action up here at the session high, taking us back to break even. And the stop out is near. New participation coming in right above the stop, my break even. Let's look for that push higher. Little battle zone up here. Starting to see our energy build around 1257. Could be buyers, could be sellers. Right back, there we go. And we're stopped out on the break even. Also, another little thing that you can add inside of your plan is having so the same way that we have a max amount of losses that we'll take for the day, it could be helpful also to have a max amount of winning trades that we take for the day. I didn't set that for today's session, just so we can, I can go through all of this. But what we don't want to be led by is our P&L, right? We want to be led by our rules, and we want to be led by, the strategy and everything except for our P&L. So I only mention that because this is at a point to where you're getting close to the end of your session, and you're seeing red over here. It's gonna typically you're gonna start feeling some type of way, but we can't let that be the deciding factor if we're gonna keep doing what we're supposed to do or not. So it has to be based off your rules. So if you don't have things in your side of your rules that defines that, then you need to put them in make that a part of your rules. And you need to stay disciplined and consistent to that. I don't know about anybody else, but normally when I make emotional decisions, they end up not in my favor. And I'm trying to mark this off here, but they're moving our charts up. There we go. Now this is also, we did get a micro pullback there, but as I mentioned over here, I don't typically like those. And we can see over here that one didn't work out, but this one it would have at least in hindsight capital says it would have at least given me a scalp on that first target. So I'm going to stay true to my 10-15 rule today in terms of entering into a new position. So I got 5 minutes. As long as I stay disciplined and consistent, I'll make that up on another day. I'm not worried about the P&L today. So what I'll do, nah, I ain't gonna do that. I was gonna mark this off yellow, these two, but nope, I'm not even gonna, just because I like to go back and study these sometimes, so just as a point of reference. But I'll see the full chart, and if I missed anything, if I want to look at that again. All right, so now we got pulled back there. To be honest, I'm not really liking this up all the way up here. There we go. See, I like more pullback. The more pullback for me, the better. And so within, so the way that I typically do this is I'm completely, if I have a trigger, I just take it, towards the beginning of my session for the most part. But once we start getting close to, the time for me to, to be done for the day, I tend to be a little bit more picky about what I take. All right, so let's see. Gotta take that one. So I can look at this over here as in determining if, because I got 3 minutes until about, 2 minutes and 15 seconds to determine if I'm going to, or for my 10:15 mark. Inside pair. See, we got this previous resistance right there, and we got our volume on the volume profile. I said I wasn't going to explain all of that, but it happens. Okay, that'll work. Yeah, that'll work. One minute. So it would appear as if I'm going to be done for the day. Oh, that's a tough one. So now this is a good test of discipline. It's 10:15. I did say I was gonna be done for the day, so I gotta be done for the day at 10:15. But that's a good trigger right there. But I'm gonna stay disciplined to the rule, to what I just said I was gonna do. Discipline is key. Let's see. No matter what happens, I follow my rules. I follow my plan. I would be lying if I say I wasn't, wishing that I actually not had said that, but it is what it is. Look at that. It'll happen every single time. Alright, so that is what it is. I am done for the day in terms of executing in the new positions. And let's see, so we did end up in a red day, which is perfectly okay. I personally think this is a good example of what's possible with this strategy. By everything that I mentioned before. So let me go ahead and let's see what 98 and 50 cents. Update my thing. Should be this one. All right, so relatively not that bad, not that bad. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Alright, so first we, well no, so I did start it last Thursday. Had a rough time on last Friday. I don't remember exactly what happened last Friday. And then I had a rough time this Friday, as we just saw. So still not terrible. Yeah, that's right. Alright, so my trading session is done for the day. Usually at this point, I just take a screenshot of my triggers, put that inside of the Discord, and then I'll take a screenshot of my close of business at 10:30. What the charts are like at 10:30, do my numbers, and all that stuff that I'm not gonna sit here and you know, bore you to death with watching. So hope you found some value in this and it was helpful. If you got any questions, just leave that in the comment section below. And I'll see you on the next one. Trade it easy.